episode of Surviving the Survivor. We bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to a very special episode of Surviving the Survivor. It is a podcast that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And as you can tell, I'm not in a studio in the global headquarters, rather in Philadelphia, where it is always shady. It is always shady in Philadelphia. Tomorrow morning, after 14 years, Josh and Sandy Greenberg head into court here in the city of Philadelphia. The courthouse is actually in City Hall, which is a beautiful older building, and I am literally a half block away. Proceedings begin at 9 a.m. with jury selection. And so what I decided to do today, in light of everything that's gone on this weekend, and the headline this weekend is that after 14 years, one of the people named in the civil lawsuit, which is why there's going to be a jury trial, one of the people named as a defendant in this particular lawsuit is Dr. Marlon Osborne, and he was a medical examiner at the time, working underneath a guy named Dr. Sam Galino, his boss, who is also named in this civil suit. And in the 11th hour, basically yesterday, maybe the 13th hour, if you want to be more accurate, Dr. Marlon Osborne sent what's known as a verification letter to an attorney, which is now a public court record, essentially saying he does not think any longer that this is an unaliving. He used the S word. On YouTube, we have to say unaliving. So, after 14 years, he initially ruled this a homicide. Then, for a very short time, went to undetermined. And then this all happened on January 26th. The autopsy performed the next day on January 27th of 2011. Then in April, after a series of closed-door meetings, his ruling switches back. Switches over to an unaliving, and the Greenbergs are absolutely stunned. So what I did, this lawsuit is really a story. That's what this lawsuit is. Have the 147-page document. It's obviously way too much to go over in 147 pages. So I kind of pared it down into a story, which is what I do, what I used to do as a reporter. So I'm just going to, and you're going to know a lot of these details, but it's important that everything I'm reading right now is in this lawsuit, which is why we are having a trial tomorrow. And also, very likely, why Dr. Marlon Osborne felt pressured enough to suddenly change his ruling. Now, he did not switch it to a homicide, but he did switch it to something other than an unaliving. I got to tell you, I'm in Philly. It's chilly in Philly. And I can tell you right now that there's people shaking, but not from the cold. And I think you can guess who they are. It's some of the people named in this lawsuit, but also maybe somebody who is complicit or was complicit in what is now being called something other than an unaliving. So was it a crime? That's what the jury is going to have to figure out in this case. Jury selection kicks off first thing in the morning, 9 a.m. A reminder, there are no cameras. There are no cell phones allowed in the courtroom. That means, look at this. Look what I have. I didn't even know we had these. The COE gave me this. I had to bring my Surviving the Survivor notebook. No idea where we got this. To bring my Surviving the Survivor notebook with pen into court. So I'm going to run through this in terms of story, in a story form, as I just said. And I asked the COE for some help. She'll bring up some photos. And forgive me because I'm not going to read, but I'm going to refer very heavily to my notes here. So I want to get it right. And again, you're going to know a lot of this, but I just want to reiterate that it's all in this 147-page lawsuit, which is why we're at where we are at. And by the way, people are saying, "Oh, thank you so much. This is, you really helped." I didn't do much of anything. It is the Greenbergs, Josh and Sandy, who, by the way, they're ecstatic as they should be. It's them. What's up, Junior Johnson? I love that name, Junior Johnson. Hello from Michigan. So probably chillier there. Joel's handy dandy notebook. Yes, it is. The COE is going to pull up comments. She's going to pull up photos. We put this together kind of last second. But I am going to, again, refer to some notes, and these notes are taken directly from the lawsuit, which obviously has to tell the story of what happened. So jumping right into it, the Greenbergs are seeking damages from several defendants and the city of Philadelphia. Of course, Dr. Marlon Osborne is one of them, although he just recanted his ruling. And I'll be honest, it's unclear whether or not he is going to be here tomorrow. If he's going to testify, we don't know. If Josh and Sandy are going to testify, I spoke to them yesterday, as recently as yesterday. They didn't know. I put a call into Joe Pedraza. We emailed briefly. He said he was simply just too busy. And obviously, I want to stay clear and stay out of his way. So we're going to find out a lot in the morning, and are not going to know right now. So the courthouse here, and keep in mind, there's also a Supreme Court case going on. This courthouse is a city courthouse, and it resides inside City Hall, which is this. I'll take photos tomorrow. This beautiful, beautiful building, couple hundred years old. Looks like somewhere Thomas Jefferson used to chill out at. Well, the courthouse is in there. Of course, the headline, as I said, is the Marlon Osborne, the doctor, the medical examiner. The direct quote is, "It was something other than an unaliving." The background here, Ellen Greenberg, of course, was a vibrant 27-year-old elementary school teacher at Waniata Park Academy in Philadelphia. Look at that smile there. And she was engaged to be married to her fiance, Sam Goldberg, and her future seemed to be incredibly bright. She was known for being, as you can tell in this photo, incredibly bubbly, outgoing, an amazing demeanor. She was a loving daughter, a dedicated teacher, and a woman who was excited to start the next chapter of her life. But the weeks leading up to this death, and it happened on the evening of a nor'easter, January 26, 2011, and she was a school teacher, and you can see that smile with the kids. You can see it right there, and those kids must have been very lucky to have her as a teacher. So leading up to this, according to the lawsuit, a chilling text was sent, and it read, "I want to leave this place. Get me out." It was very nebulous. Wasn't about school. Wasn't about him who you're looking at, but it wasn't not about him. So she even reached out, Ellen. Again, all of this coming from the lawsuit. Broke it down in English, so you don't have to read the legal gobbledygook. She reaches out to her own cousin and asks in the weeks leading up if she can move in. But the cousin says she was really vague about what was troubling her. We also know in the lawsuit, she began seeing a psychiatrist. The doctor who she was seeing explicitly noted that Ellen was not in an unaliving mindset. Let me repeat that. According to the psychiatrist, Ellen was not in an unaliving mindset. So now we move forward, and the lawsuit does, to the very horrible and awful, fateful day that was the death of Ellen Greenberg on January 26, 2011. Now, here's the issue. Most of what people know comes from this guy, Sam Goldberg. It was a story that the police took at his word. It was a story that the medical examiner apparently took at his word. Even in this verification letter that Dr. Marlon Osborne gave to an attorney / the court yesterday, he said he was misled because he was told that Sam's story was accurate, only at some time after the fact finding out that it was not. Why it took him 14 years, that's something I think needs to be asked under oath. And I sincerely hope we do see Dr. Marlon Osborne so he can answer these questions. But now Sam tells authorities he leaves the apartment around 5 p.m. on this nor'easter night of January 26, 2011. He decides, well, most people are hanging out, watching movies and cozying up on a snowy night, that he's going to go pump some iron. You can tell he is extremely fit with that extra chin or two. Sorry, that was a low blow. He says he was at the gym. Was he? We don't know. But then he goes on to say, well, he couldn't get back into the apartment because there is an inside lock. Now, I'm staying at a hotel room, and I can't really see that right there? That is the typical hotel swing lock, and that's exactly what they had at their condo, the swing lock. He tells his story and says he couldn't get in because the swing lock was shut, and so he had to bust it open. But before he does that, there's a series of text messages that are interesting, all one-sided, all from Sam Goldberg. He says, "Hello, open the door. What are you doing? You can, COE, if you can get it. I'm getting pissed. You better have an excuse. What the fuck?" he says, and he writes it out. And I have to agree with this comment here. Ellen does exude such a beautiful spirit in her pictures, and that's precisely what the lawsuit says. Again, if you're just joining, and I know Gavin, I saw, does a great recreation. Gavin and others have said it is absolutely impossible to break a door down like that with keeping the bolts intact. At least one or two would have had to have come out. They would never have stayed intact. So he says, and this is important. Again, I'm citing the lawsuit here, and I'm telling you it as a story instead of a lawsuit. So according to him, he gets no response after he's like, "What the F?" But he uses the word. He says he goes to the lobby and he speaks with the building security guard. Afterwards, he returns, according to him, and kicks the door open. Instead of calling 911, eventually seeing Ellen, he spends a bit of time on the phone with his cousin, a guy named Kamian Schwartzman. And then he calls his uncle, James Schwartzman. Now, he was a judge, but he was also a criminal defense attorney. Not sure what he's doing these days. I'm not even sure if he's still in practice. And his texts, Holly says, are oozing with the tone of coercive control. I'm not a coercive control expert, but I will leave that to you. But he did say, "I'm getting pissed. You better have an excuse." By the way, if I said that to the COE, she'd slap me in the face. Anyway, figuratively. Anyway, he says he returns. Again, I'm quoting the lawsuit here. Calls cousin Kamian Schwartz, calls Uncle James Schwartzman. After some time, a call is put into 911. At that point, Sam reports that there is that he sees Ellen on the floor and there's blood everywhere. Just because it's the eve of the trial, I'm going to replay the 911 call right now. You guys, you're the jury here. You're the jury. Tell me what you think.
Everywhere.
What is the address?
Help! I need everything out. I just walked to my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come help now.
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no! It's an apartment. Please hurry, please.
Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
No, so you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie!
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't tell where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, But it's everywhere.
Okay,
it's everywhere.
She might have fallen. Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone. What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. my fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. Like she's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay. Do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do. Okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat on her.
God.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off, okay? And kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God, she stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no, her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I just let her here now. I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is in her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police, which operator? 277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
How old is she?
She's 27.
27, and there's no sign of life at all.
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
Ellie. She's not. Her arm and her hands are still warm. I don't know what that means, but there's blood everywhere.
I know, but you can't, and the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything. Yeah, don't touch anything. Okay.
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door. You said latched it shut.
No. I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched.
Oh.
Like it was, it wasn't like it was, it was locked from the inside, and I'm yelling. So I'm
was
yelling.
Your house broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a break-in at all. I mean, there will be when you get here because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
Okay, 4601.
He had to break the latch. The only problem is Gavin Fish is one, but they're actually forensic experts that tried it. You cannot break a door open with that kind of latch without the latch being removed. I report, you decide. I'm looking at the lawsuit again, and again, everything I'm talking about tonight is presented in this lawsuit. I'm just trying to break it down in English because I'm not an attorney, and I know it's annoying when you hear a lot of legalese. It's 147 pages. Obviously, I'm not going to have every single piece of minute details, but I took all the biggest stuff, and we have more to go through. The lawsuit, just so you know, tomorrow will be, I believe, February 3rd, 2024. This lawsuit was filed on October 26th, 2022. So it's over 2 years. That's the legal system. It takes a while. It was filed by a law firm, Lamb McErlin PC, and the attorneys who work under that banner are Joe Pedraza, a great guy who's been, backing the Greenbergs, and William Trask. These are the two lawyers that are going to be by Josh and Sandy's side, Joe Pedraza and William Trask. We're going to get back to that call in a minute. The plaintiffs in this case are Josh and Sandy Greenberg, who are the administrators, it is written, of the estate of Ellen R. Greenberg, deceased. Ellen R. Greenberg, deceased. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The plaintiffs, the defendants, Ellen's parents are the plaintiffs. The defendants, Samuel Galino, M.D. He was the chief medical examiner, the boss of Dr. Marlon Osborne. You've got Lindsay Emery. she's another doctor who made some claims along the way, based out of Columbus, Ohio. And then you've got some members of the Philadelphia Police Department, a person named Tim Cooney. Then you've got John McNamee. Then you have an attorney named here, Ann Punterio. And then they also list as defendants John and Jane Doe's 1 through 10 as defendants, because I guess they weren't exactly sure who else will be coming forward, who they might call. So they left up to 10 John and Jane Doe's as plaintiffs here. So now back to the lawsuit. They say, in light of this 911 call that we just heard, and the evidence, collected, which was very little, but then there were private investigations done. The lawsuit alleges that Sam seems more, and I'm just looking at my notes if you're wondering why I keep looking over, but that Sam seems more focused, according to the lawsuit, on creating alibis. Repeats more than once about the door being jammed closed with that lock. He then says she fell on a knife. How would he know that if he wasn't there? That is what the lawsuit is asking. He questions, do I have to do CPR? The attorneys want to know why he wasn't willing to do CPR. And it goes on. Paramedics, when they finally arrive, they find Ellen's body slumped against kitchen cabinets. They find a 10-inch serrated knife sticking out from the chest. They find a 10-inch serrated knife sticking out from the chest, and then discover that she stabbed 20 times, holding a pristine, as it is described in the lawsuit, white towel in her hand. Now, you heard on the 911 call, and I think I saw my friend, the Philadelphia shoulder surgeon, who I am in the same city as we speak, which is an honor. In the comments section, it's funny, Joel, are you scared at all? Carm told me, and I quote Carm here, "You're playing with the big boys, be careful," to which I had to tell her I'd call her back. Let's put it that way. I've been doing this a while. I'm not cocky. I'm not arrogant. I'm not scared. But they're not going to be, they're some powerful people involved. And I don't know. I mean, if anything, they're going to try to get me, financially and file a suit. But I'm smart. I have that covered because I have about 10,000 criminal defense attorneys who are some of the best in the country working here. But I'm not worried about that. So anyway, paramedics arrive. You heard I brought up PSS, the Philadelphia shoulder surgeon, who's right here. Look at this. Actually, first it was she stabbed herself, then she fell on the knife, then some other dumbass comments. Yes. By the way, PSS and I realized Scott Duffy never, ever curses. We don't think he's ever cursed, which is fascinating because he's an FBI special agent. We're going to investigate that when we get back on the next Film Scott, if there's ever another one, because Scott's been doing some teaching. But we're going to find out if Scott has ever cursed. But I digress. These are now, we've only seen the one on the top left. We almost never talk about the gash on the top of her head. That's like a 4 or 5 inch gash. I don't know what that's from. I don't think anyone really knows. And then you see her C6, which we're going to get into, is stabbed as well. These are different renderings that are inside the lawsuit. These are public records. I'm always really careful with this because, Josh and Sandy. But I have to tell you, Josh and Sandy, I mean, in my eyes, they're heroes here because 14 years, $800,000 of their own money later. And now look at this. They've switched, the medical examiner has switched the ruling back from a unaliving to something other than that. And that's Sandy and Josh, who've been going through this the whole time. Anyway, it takes me a long time to make a point. The PSS, the Philadelphia shoulder surgeon, try saying it 10 times. It's impossible. She said, how did Sam know it was a big knife? Well, it turns out it was a 10-inch, as I said, serrated knife sticking out from the chest. How would you know that if you walk in on a scene and all you see is a handle? No idea. Do you? I don't know. I mean, it could be a 20-inch knife. It could be a 5-inch knife. On the grounds asking, this is true. There are no cameras. And Gavin Fish, man, he's on this way before me and knows it much better than me, the case. But he'll be there tomorrow, and I'm going to hit him up later just to check in with him. Great guy. He's actually out having a cheesesteak I saw on Twitter with Tom Brennan. And Tom Brennan is the Greenberg's private investigator, well into his 80s, who's a retired Pennsylvania state trooper who's been working on this case pro bono for years. It's got to be a great day for them. If you haven't subscribed to the second channel, please do that. I bring it up because Dr. Detective Troy Looney is in the house. Great guy, and he's going to be debuting a show. Last week, we debuted the Geo Profiler and many more to come. So, again, I am telling a story with facts from the lawsuit. So there's a headline in basically the lawsuit that says the investigation begins and then falls apart. And that's because it is ruled again, initially a homicide. But then there's a weird closed door meeting. And in April, everything changes. Now, in the lawsuit, they allege deliberate cover-ups. And say that the investigation was riddled with mistakes, oversights, and these cover-ups. And they start to list them. They say that the medical examiner fails to take Ellen's body temperature. So that screws up the time of death. I mean, that's like ME 101. You take the body temperature. They don't ever take the body temperature. And thank you for this. And because of that, can't figure out a time of death. They don't see at any point, they do not see or document 11 other bruises. And I'm not talking about these, I'm talking about this. There are 11 other bruises on Ellen's body. Now, I just had Gavin Fish on the show, and he's looked at the autopsy photos, which I've seen now, and they're tough to look at. And the jury is going to probably see them, or at least some of them. Gavin counted over 50 bruises, but they failed to see 11 bruises. They also don't notate this gash or don't make a deal. You know, they don't write anything in terms of a report about the gash and what might be behind it. In the lawsuit, they allege police and the medical examiner seem to take Sam Goldberg's account without ever questioning it. They say there was obvious signs of struggle. And here we go, which is interesting. Again, in the lawsuit, they talk about how the knife block in the kitchen was toppled over. Sandy mentioned this. She said Ellen was neat. The knife block is knocked over. Knives are spread across the counter, and some have even fallen into a sink. Now, if you're going to unalive yourself, aren't you just going to pull out a knife? In addition, just while I'm thinking about it, Ellen is fully dressed, I believe, and it is very uncommon for a woman. She's, number one, it's very uncommon for them to ever unalive themselves in this manner, but especially uncommon for them to then do it through clothing. So it's just another little nugget to chew on. So again, knives are scattered across the counter. They're falling into the sink. And in the lawsuit, they say that the blood on Ellen Greenberg's face defies scientific logic. She is found, they say, slumped on a kitchen cabinet like this. Now, keep in mind, when it sounds like when Sam sees her on that 911 call that maybe she's laying flat. But now when they find her, she's like this, and blood is running this way, when scientifically, and I'm no scientist, but I know that, it should be running down her face. Again, they get in the lawsuit, they get back into the swing lock. That's a big point, with just very minor damage. The first autopsy comes on January 27th. That's the next day. The findings are simply the 20 stab wounds, including the deep injuries. And he does, in that final autopsy, mention the neck and the head. You're looking at a picture of Dr. Marlon Osborne, who has since moved. There he is, testifying in the Parkland school shooting case, because that's where he's living now, down in Parkland, Florida, or thereabouts. The autopsy also determines, for Marlon Osborne at this point, per the lawsuit, a stab wound that pierced between Ellen's C2 and C3 vertebrae. So a stab wound that pierced between Ellen's C2 and C3 vertebrae, impacting, it says, her spinal cord. The base of the skull was also impacted, and it caused bleeding in her brain. Bleeding in her brain. The ruling is a homicide, but immediately, again, per the lawsuit that I'm looking at here and have my notes on, per the lawsuit, the minute this thing is ruled a homicide, Philadelphia, where it is always shady, apparently, and cold as hell, police push back. The Philadelphia police push back. They apparently, according to Josh and Sandy's attorneys, don't like the conclusion that Dr. Marlon Osborne came to, and they demand, per the lawsuit, that Dr. Marlon Osborne change his finding. This is a medical doctor, by the way, Philadelphia shoulder surgeon, and from a fine medical school and university. This is not, some two-bit, doctor who went to medical school and where, the Caribbean. This is a top-notch attorney saying that you would stop breathing if a knife penetrated your C2, C3. You would stop breathing. Now, per the lawsuit again, they say that police pushed back on this. They did not like the doctor's conclusion. They claim that police claimed, I should say, in the lawsuit alleges that police claimed and said Sam was accompanied by a security guard when he broke down the door. And this is really the crux of it. This is why no one thought someone else could have been inside. They allege, again, that Dr. Marlon Osborne caves to the pressure, buys the story, and suddenly there is a closed-door meeting that happens. And the people present there, per the lawsuit, are Philadelphia police officers, Dr. Marlon Osborne's boss, Dr. Sam Galeno. And soon after this closed-door meeting, and reportedly, it's not in the lawsuit here, I don't think, but there were reportedly prosecutors or some other attorneys present as well. It's very rare, like the police are not supposed to influence a medical examiner, but according to the lawsuit, it sure sounds like that may be the case. So after this closed-door meeting, police officers and Sam Galeno, after that meeting, they change Ellen's death ruling from a homicide, from undetermined, back to an unaliving. And this is actually the first time it goes to an unaliving, to an unaliving. You're looking at a picture of the knife. You're looking at these are 3D renderings. You're looking at some blood. You can see there's blood on the cabinet there. It's tough to look at. Now, in the lawsuit, Dr. Marlon Osborne says that, again, he was swayed by the security guard. The security guard is someone named Philip Hampton, and his name is revealed in the suit that we're talking about here. There's one problem with that. Philip Hampton says he never went with Sam Goldberg to the apartment ever. And there just so happens to be surveillance footage, and it corroborates the security guard's testament that he did not go with Sam Goldberg. So now, if you peel that layer of the onion away, it appears that Sam has told police a story that they are buying whole cloth, and that's what they're going with, and that's why this all happened. So now the cover-up starts to unfold. The day after Ellen's death in the lawsuit, before the autopsy was even completed, police allow Sam Goldberg's family, including his uncle, a criminal defense attorney, to enter the apartment unsupervised. Let me read that again. For the lawsuit, the day after her death, before the autopsy was even completed, police allow Sam Goldberg's family, including his criminal defense attorney uncle, to enter the apartment unsupervised. They removed, according to the lawsuit, key evidence, including Ellen's laptop, phone, and personal items. The apartment was then cleaned by a professional cleaning service, effectively destroying potential forensic evidence. Now, the police claim that they had consulted. This is interesting. This isn't a lawsuit. This is interesting here. The police claim they had consulted with Dr. Lucy Rourke Adams. She's a very respected, apparently, neuropathologist in this area, I believe. She confirms that Ellen could have inflicted the wounds even after her spinal cord was severed. Now, this is being alleged by the Philadelphia police that this neuropathologist said this. However, later on, when speaking, I think, to attorneys for Josh and Sandy Greenberg, Dr. Rourke Adams denies ever examining Ellen's case. There were no records of this. There were no reports of this. There were no invoices, meaning she was never paid to do this. And she herself said that she had no part in whatever the Philadelphia police claimed that she had to say. She was a pediatric neuropathologist who was president of the American Association of Neuropathologists all the way 1982. That's when I was bar mitzvahed. I should have invited her. Again, there were no records, no reports, no invoices. The Philadelphia Police Department claimed the door had been kicked in while the swing bar lock was engaged, and we get back to that. However, crime scene photos show the lock barely damaged, and forensic experts confirmed it was unlikely the door had been forced open in that manner. Refusing to accept this official story, this is when Josh and Sandy enlisted top forensic experts to also review Ellen's case. Again, all in the lawsuit. One of the people they hired, Dr. Wayne K. Ross, and again, they've spent about $800,000 of their own money. They determined that Dr. Wayne K. Ross, a very respected pathologist, a doctor, says that some of Ellen's wounds were inflicted after she was already dead, making self-infliction impossible. I mean, we talked about this, but to hear this and see it in the lawsuit again, they were inflicted, some of these wounds, after she was dead. Just give that a thought for a moment. She was dead and somehow was able to stab herself. Dr. Cyril Weck, may he rest in peace, one of the best and most respected forensic pathologists who since passed away in his 90s. He concluded separately that it was highly improbable that Ellen's injuries were self-inflicted. He labeled the case a homicide. Then you've got Dr. Henry Lee. I mean, this is sort of the Mount Rushmore right here of forensic pathologists. He analyzed blood patterns in this lawsuit, it says, and found evidence suggesting Ellen's body had been moved post-mortem inconsistent with an unaliving. That she had been moved, the body, someone would have had to move her. You're not supposed to move somebody. I don't know if maybe Sam Goldberg got tense and nervous and decided, let me move her. I just don't know. But this is, again, all from the lawsuit. Back to the lawsuit. You're looking at the bruises right there. The wrist, that is the neck. It is tough to see on the right side. You heard Josh and Sandy on my show, maybe you didn't, if not, the episodes are there, that they are convinced now that this was a strangulation, that it was not a stabbing death, but a strangulation then made to look like something else. Let's put it that way. That is the condo in the background there in the swanky little suburb of Manayunk, Philadelphia, suburb of Philly. And then you see Ellen with her fiance. I will not make any comment regarding his eyes at all. None. Zero. So there's another expert that the Greenbergs bring in per the lawsuit. Again, this is on the eve of a trial that is set to start tomorrow morning with jury selection. And so we're going over the lawsuit that prompted and compelled this jury trial in the civil lawsuit to begin tomorrow. And this is, by the way, the verification letter from Dr. Marlon Osborne, where he basically recants what he's been saying for 14 years. Again, the second day after this happened, he said it was a homicide. Since that point, since April of that year, it's been ruled an unaliving. But just yesterday, after those 14 years, it says here in yellow, along with my original autopsy findings and information considered while I was actively involved in Ellen's case, it is my professional opinion Ellen's manner of death should be designated as something other than suicide. And you see his signature, Marlon Osborne, MD, right there. So the last expert mentioned in this lawsuit, Detective Scott Illman, he is a crime scene reconstructionist. He noted blood trails running, again, horizontally across Ellen's face, defying gravity, clear evidence that her body had been repositioned. And now we're on to evidence of a cover-up. That's what they talk about in the lawsuit, evidence of a cover-up. Very interesting. Undetermined is unacceptable. Melissa G, by the way, is very passionate about this, and I love seeing it. And she is often on X. So it just goes from bad to worse. According to the lawsuit, there is evidence of 2 knives that were being used. Evidence of 2 different knives. So these are not, they didn't use all these knives. These are where the stabbings took place. But the lawsuit claims 2 knives. Forensic analysis suggested that 2 different knives were used. One serrated, which was found at the scene, and one smooth-bladed, missing. The smooth-bladed knife, per the lawsuit, was used and it was never found. If a second knife was involved, the lawsuit alleges it means someone removed that knife, ruling out an unaliving. A wound, again, to Ellen's spinal cord showed no signs of bleeding, and that means it was inflicted after her death. A dead person cannot stab themselves, it says in the lawsuit, and this is from an independent autopsy. Also, they talk about inconsistent behavior in the lawsuit. And by the way, this is, I'm sure, everything we're going to hear in court once this trial starts after jury selection. Someone says the trial could go 8 days. Some say it'll be quick. I don't know. No one knows. We're going to find out when it happens. But you can, this lawsuit that I'm looking at, and again, I kind of rephrased everything just to make it non-legal, legalese and legal language. But this lawsuit here is going to be sort of the framework, the outline. Space Coast here, obviously with a facetious comment. If she stabbed herself 20 times, maybe she moved herself too. It'd be tough to move yourself when you're dead, but you never know. But this is going to be the framework for the arguments in the case. And that's why, again, I'm also going over it. So they talk about inconsistent behavior. Ellen's actions on the day of her death, she went to fill her gas tank during a snowstorm. That's not indicative of someone who's fed up with life and doesn't care and is just going to end it all. But before I do that, let me make sure I have a full tank of gas. COE, by the way, I filled up the Bronco with gas before I left. Not knowing if the Frontier Airlines flight would be my final Frontier. Luckily, it was not. By the way, final Frontier was much better than I expected, except for the 0.6 inches of legroom. And the only problem is I had to listen to the Philadelphia Eagles fight song, basically the entire flight. And then the chief flight attendant, whatever the chief, I don't know what they call them, but he was a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And so the Eagles fans on the plane were throwing peanuts at him. And then I knew I was on my way to Philly at that point. So she goes on the night this happens to fill up her gas tank. She's preparing food, a fruit salad, and she's texting Sandy, her mother. And there was no indication, it seemed to be benign text between Sandy and Ellen. Now they've been fighting over spending money and fighting for justice over a decade. They've faced the stonewalling that we see here, lies, and what appears to be, according to the lawsuit again, an institutional cover-up, designed to protect individuals who may have been involved in Ellen's death or to shield the police from the embarrassment of a botched investigation. Let me read that again. It's important. They have faced stonewalling lies in what appears to be an institutional cover-up designed to protect individuals who may have been involved in Ellen's death or to shield the police from the embarrassment of a botched investigation. The lawsuit alleges intentional infliction of emotional distress, accusing city officials, police officers, and medical examiners of fraud, misconduct, and a conspiracy to cover up a murder. The lawsuit says that they're not just fighting for Ellen, their daughter, their beloved daughter, who is forever 27, but they are fighting for justice, for accountability, and for the truth that has been buried under years of lies. And then they ask a set of final questions in this lawsuit. Who really killed Ellen Greenberg? I'm getting chills right now. And who really killed Ellen Greenberg? Why was the investigation so mishandled? What or who were the police trying to protect? Those are some deep questions. And that, thank you, Super Planner Girl, and apologies. I saw that you contacted me. Been a long day. In my opinion, the Greenberg. So that is the lawsuit as sort of broken down by me. And I know it's been out there for 2 years, but again, it's the eve of this trial. You got this right here, which is just incredible. This verification letter, which amounts to a retraction after 14 years from the medical examiner from an unaliving to something other than an unaliving. There we go. It's 9:07 Eastern time in the evening in Philadelphia. And this trial kicks off in 11 hours and 57 minutes with jury selection. I'm going to be in there. I'm going to get my, up early and get over there. We're going to touch base with Gavin in a little bit. It was chaos in the Waldman home as usual, and love my kids, my wife. It was just chaotic, and caught a flight at noon, had to leave the house early. No one was around. So here we are in Philadelphia covering something that is important. It might be late here, but it's later in the Republic of Ireland. I'll stick around for a minute or two and take questions. Again, I just wanted to really lay this out for everyone. Again, also, please share this. I've said this many times, and I came all the way to Philly. So just to show that my words have meaning. For whatever reason, when we do the Ellen Greenberg case, the numbers are not good. I've said to people who say, oh, you're just doing it for the clicks. I am. That's what people do when they create content. They want to get clicks. And I will not be swayed by low clicks for Ellen Greenberg. I don't care. So I want you guys to please share, tweet this link out. I'll tweet it out, but then tweet it out with a tag to Governor Josh Shapiro, the current Attorney General, the current DA, and let me say this. There's people who have been incredibly skeptical that this is ever going to move to suddenly thinking that excuse the pun, the door's about to be busted wide open, but that lock ain't staying on. It's probably where I should drop the mic right there. COE, do you see any questions? I see Gene Spalding here. All my thoughts and prayers are with the Greenbergs. My heart breaks for them. Ellen was an absolute stunning young lady with all her life. She had just so much to go. Dr. Vonda Kay letting me know. She just shared it. Joel, please give nasty looks to everyone involved. I have a habit of doing that when I like you. But by the way, if you might notice, I forgot my glasses. So They're in I was going to say New Jersey, which I have not lived in for many years, but they're in Miami. And my eyesight, I'm actually going to maybe try to go to CVS and get like the old man readers because I can't see crap. Thank you, Cuds. It really wasn't amazing, but it was what the lawsuit had to say. Did Sam take the? That's a really good question, and I get that confused because there's a similar situation with Wendy Adelson, where she got an heirloom from the Holocaust from the Markells, and that was never returned. And I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to ask tomorrow. Any idea how long the trial is going to be? So Carm's prediction, and she's almost always right, and an FBI agent that I talked to said that this is not going to happen because they're just going to not want to get on the stand to testify. And this is a case with damages and they're just going to pay out. And so the trial might not start, which means I would have flown up here for that. But it is, even if that happens, the story is not over. People are going to be deposed now. People are going to be questioned now under oath. You can be damn sure that they're going to ask Dr. Marlon Osborne, why did he switch his ruling back in the day? What happened in that meeting? What did they tell him after that meeting? Why did he have to switch a ruling? Did someone have to die and be out of the way before the medical examiner could come out with the truth? These are the questions that they're going to ask. Why did the ME decide to write that letter now? They've got to get him on a stand and ask him, or in a deposition. And I don't know. He's one of the defendants in this case. The plaintiffs, of course, are Josh and Sandy Greenberg. It was a condo building. This is the building right here. If I can get to it. This is the building. It's not a great shot, but you can see it out in the distance. It's that white building. That's where she lived, Allison D. Great question. How public will this trial be? The trial at Philadelphia, where it is always shady in Philadelphia. Thank you. It's not me, it's the parents. But there are no cameras, no digital devices, no phones, nothing. So again, look at this. I did not know we had this. I'm taking this into the courtroom and I will proudly take notes. Oh, I'm glad you asked. So moving forward tomorrow, the plan is a lunch live every day when court recesses for lunch. It'll probably be done in an echoey hallway in the building that Thomas Jefferson's ghost might be running around in. That's a half a block away. I'll likely do it there every day, a lunch live recapping what happened in the morning. And then at night, we're going to do full recaps right after court. Now, another quick programming note, I'm supposed to interview along with Jury Duty Podcast. Shout out to Lindsay and Kimberly. We're supposed to do an interview with Gabby Petito's mother, Nicole Schmidt, and the stepfather. And that's supposed to happen Tuesday at 7. But obviously I think it's still going to happen, but we had to adjust things here to accommodate that. But I think we will be interviewing Gabby Petito's mother and her stepfather Tuesday at 7 with Jury Duty Podcast. PSS, I will definitely save you a seat and look forward to seeing you. There was one other thing I wanted to, this week too, we had some interesting things lined up. If you know the name Jan Broberg, and if you don't know the name, you probably have heard of the true crime doc Abducted in Plain Sight. She invited Carm and myself on her show this Monday, tomorrow. We can't do it because I'm here, so we're pushing it back a week or so. And then I wanted to reciprocate. So she was supposed to be on Tuesday, but she will come on once I'm back from here. It's an unbelievable story about being kidnapped twice by the same person. So there you go. I will be writing down in my STS notebook. The story must go viral. Many people, the vaster majority have never heard of this, don't know, don't care. People don't believe that these sorts of things can happen. Well, you talk to Josh and Sandy and you do. Please blast this link out on all your socials. Please, please, please. Nancy Grace has a book coming out about this case by my publisher, which I am thrilled about, named the publishing company is Post Hill Press. So Nancy Grace has a book coming out. I know that Ashley Banfield is going to be covering this, but it's tough to cover stories. People don't like when there are no cameras. I'm a news guy, and I know firsthand, I can tell you that many times they just won't cover something if they're this Melissa G. I think so. Yeah, she's asking. So the Chester County DA, and there's some confusion because now I'm admittedly confused myself. I'm going to ask Gavin this because now I'm hearing from some people that this might be back in the hands of the Philadelphia DA, a guy named Larry Krasner. It's supposed to be in the hands of the Chester County DA. So I'm not 100% sure where that stands. But earlier, I think it was over the summer, the Chester County DA put out a statement saying that they were keeping this case on an inactive status, that they weren't closing it, and that they also mentioned that there was no statute of limitations on murder, which is interesting. But in light of, they said they were waiting for potentially new information. Now, we got new information yesterday, that's for damn sure, from Dr. Marlon Osborne, who now says it was not an unaliving. So does that mean that Chester County is going to open the case? Hopefully the COE or someone on our team can call them directly tomorrow and try to get a statement from them, because that's really what we should do and find out, yeah, now what? Things are going to change now, hopefully for the better. You just never know what is going to go on. I don't think that Josh and Sandy ever thought we would see this day. I am absolutely thrilled for them. By the way, we're 5 subs short of 135. So please, please click that subscribe button, hit the like button, and that Patreon page. COE is going to put the lawsuit in there. She puts all these docs in there and anything we get during this week. And Patreon really does go a long way in supporting us and helping us get things like flights up to Philly to cover very important cases. So, by the way, I'm only doing this because it's funny. I did write a book. It is my mom's child Holocaust survivor story. True crime can get very down and depressing. Carm has been through the worst of the worst of the worst. She's probably the most positive, optimistic, outgoing, cool person. She told me she is now the therapist at her South Beach, Miami Beach condo. Carm has now become a therapist to all the older women there who have lost their husbands, and she's giving them all advice. Carm is always in the center of the action. I can only draw stick figures, but I will try to draw some stick figures for you. I'm excited to meet Gavin in person, Josh and Sandy in person, Tom Brennan in person, Guy DeAndrea, who's the former homicide prosecutor, if he's there, obviously Joe Pedroza, and all these people. And look at this. I love how YouTube has become an avenue for people to learn the news that mass media does not cover. I'll tell you right now, that news about Marlon Osborne yesterday was on STS hours before it was on mainstream media. I don't even know if it's on mainstream media yet. All right, thank you all for this was funny. Sad I won't be bumping into Carm on the streets of Philadelphia to get our hair done. True story. PSS met Carm at a hair salon in downtown Philly when we were here over the summer for our book signing. She heard Carm's voice from a mile away, which if I am wearing an EKG, will see my heart rate go up immediately. And I want to get one of those portable EKGs just to show everybody that I'm serious. But the PSS heard Carm's voice and said it can't be, and it was. It was Carm. It was, look at this, Joel, it's all over the media today, 24 hours later. Better late than never, Vesper. That's what they say. Better late than never. We are getting justice for Ellen Greenberg. Love you, America. The trial starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to set 37 alarms so I don't sleep through it. Thank you guys for being here. Please share the story. I'm going to tweet it out at Podcast STS, on Instagram at Surviving the Survivor. I'm going to order dinner. I'm going to FaceTime my kids and then I'm going to take a hot shower in freezing cold, shady Philadelphia. And then I'm going to shower again in the morning because I shower obsessively. And I will see you guys at lunch tomorrow. No cameras in court, but I've got my notebook, and I'll be coming to you for lunch lives and wrap-up shows daily. Steve Cohen's working on it. Space Coast on the West Coast is on it. The COE back at global headquarters in Miami is working on it. We've got all the mods, best mods in business. People on top of the mods, behind the scenes, helping us. Thank you. Again, like, subscribe, check out our Patreon page. See you tomorrow. Love you, America. Justice for Ellen Greenberg.